something quite miraculous happened recently. There was a beauty pageant in Zimbabwe, and the winner was a white lady. This has caused uproar in certain circles. Here's a video of that uproar. Let's take a quick look at that.
Their Miss Zimbabwe Queen, for the first time in 22 years, the country is participating in the Miss Universe contest. But take one look at the winner and you might guess who got really upset about this. Despite the fact that Zimbabwe is made up of millions and millions of people, Black people only compose 2% of their massive population. This woman is under some massive fire simply for winning and being white, with people taking to social media, etc., to be like, my ancestors are rolling in their graves, because the two runners-up were women of colour.
Well,
white one won, and it wasn't okay.
At least it was a woman. I mean, remember in the Netherlands, the Miss Netherlands was actually a transgender person. So,
firstly, Jerry, can you educate our viewers, because those that never studied geography, where is Zimbabwe?
Okay, Zimbabwe was formerly known as Rhodesia, and it's right next to South Africa.
Where is South Africa? Oh, south of Africa.
The southern part of Africa. If you don't know where Africa is, back off. Okay, so do you guys see anything wrong with Miss Zimbabwe being white?
No.
No.
Because you see, if a black girl or a colored person can win the same kind of award in a white.
So did you hear that? Colored person, right? That's cancellation. Person of color. It's the same difference, right? But apparently, if you say colored person or person of color, in the echelons of wokeness, what you just said is very rude. But if you say the person of color, again, said. Anyway, carry on.
Okay, no, I am a person of color. So I just say whatever I want.
No.
You have all rights to say whatever you want. That's why you see the Chinese very quiet.
Yes, sir. So, okay, anyway. So you know color, right? You know color, yellow is color, right?
I'm majority here in Singapore, so I cannot talk too much.
So, if a black person or a person of blackness,
Jesus Christ.
so if a person of blackness can actually win for the US or any other white country, right? Then in a black country, a white person winning should be encouraged.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, you understand that. But unfortunately, liberals have no common sense. And they can't understand that.
So that means white girls staying in African countries, they cannot win any pageants.
No, because diversity is code language for any people except white people, especially white men. And on top of that, if they're white Christian men, they are not part of the multicultural equation. Right? So she, being a white woman, when you talk about diversity, no. Diversity means everyone else but white people. That's why there's an uproar.
So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really feel bad for white people.
That's fine. They're human beings.
They did oppress non-white people for some time, for some reasons. But to treat people like this, especially now that we are coming to a point where race doesn't matter anymore, then even the white race shouldn't matter. We shouldn't see them as white people. We should just be fair to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, regardless of skin color. Right? That should be the way.
Yeah. You could get cancelled for that.
For saying this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
When I saw that, things were in my mind like, why is there an uproar? Is she locally from Zimbabwe? Was she raised there? Was she an immigrant? Is she?
Yes.
But
she's Zimbabwean.
Does she embody the local traits of someone in Zimbabwe? And the capital Harare already has migrants from everywhere else. You know, people from the Caribbean, people from white nations. So I'm also not surprised if she had some ancestry from Zimbabwe. I mean, we have imported other people into Singapore to play table tennis, right?
Yeah.
And then call them Singaporeans. So it's a bit contentious lah.
But Shai, there's a big difference, right?
Mm.
From importing a table tennis champion
Yeah.
to become Singaporean,
Yeah.
and someone who has been living in Singapore since young,
Yeah, I know, I understand.
and our
So-
culture gave rise to such a talent.
So that's precisely my point. If let's say people do not have an issue with imported nationalities into Singapore, why should anyone have a problem with a Zimbabwe bred and grown white lady winning the crown lah? So for me, it's a bit of a unnecessary hoo-ha lah. I mean, I had no idea this even took place actually.
It's quite sad that even is a point for discussion for people online, that they have to discuss whether a white woman winning a Zimbabwe pageant is
No,
even
but you-
worth.
But you know why it's such a big problem, right? Because this pertains to black women. And anything that's foreseen as an aggression towards black women, that gets more noise than anything else. Because apparently they're the most marginalized, oppressed people.
In Zimbabwe,
No, in the world. In the woke annals
Yeah, and
of understanding the planet, black women are the most oppressed and
how do
marginalized.
the people in Zimbabwe feel about the minority race winning the pageant?
Black people on the internet are furious and outraged surrounding the controversy of Miss Zimbabwe and what is causing people to be so upset. It turns out the beauty competition crowned a white winner. And as you can see, all the winners in the past have been black. Angry locals are now demanding that a black woman should be crowned the queen. It's a country where 14 million black people live and only 2% of the population is white. People are saying things like they want to know why a white person is even allowed to represent their country in the first place.
This is the thing here. There's something here that we must really encourage. The white woman, before she took part in this pageant, she must have felt that it's going to be disadvantageous for her. But she didn't stop trying. She went for the thing. She did her best, probably, and she won.
Yeah.
So this should be something that is celebrated throughout the world. Instead of us
Good luck
giving
with that.
special treatment to other minorities, we should encourage minorities to fight for their rights.
So basically, the only contentious thing if anyone were to launch an investigation, it would be,
preferential treatment.
was there any preferential treatment? And then that's when, we have something to talk
Was
about
she
lah.
judged in previous pageants or is it the first time?
I
don't know.
They didn't mention that. in the
I mean, if this was a meritocratic win, then okay, fair game lah. But if it was rigged, then something's
No,
happening.
but at least beauty pageants cannot be a meritocratic win because it's based on judges, right? Judges are humans,
But judges have criteria, of course. Then
Yeah.
it's
but it's not going to be meritocratic because it's not like a fixed thing. It's not like weightlifting, where if you don't carry this amount of weight, you can't win.
That's true.
It's just an opinion.
Your opinion, right?
In addition to the judges, is there anyone else that is also voting
what
or
they
no?
call, must call 1-900-911.
Is there such a thing
No,
there?
even if this is going to be because of voting, is not the best candidate won. It is the most popular. candidate.
Popular.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a fair thing in a beauty pageant because looks cannot be fixed. I mean, it cannot be
Negotiated.
on paper.
Actually, good point there. And another thing that I don't like about modern beauty pageants is when they insist on the lady being educated. Like, no Miss Universe, now you must have a degree, must have general knowledge, some sort of worldview, agreeing on things like the world should be carbon neutral by 2025, all this kind of stuff. I don't agree with that. It should just be judged on looks. If you can't read, makes no difference. If you just have a perfect figure and a perfectly symmetrical face, that should be enough to win that competition. Don't bring the academics into it.
Yeah, but there should be other things also, like swimsuit, catwalk, how graceful they are. Because looks, right? Being graceful has to add to looks, right?
Yeah, that's all part of the aesthetic.
Aesthetic, yes.
But the educational part of it, though, since they introduced that, that's a bunch of feminists did that because feminists normally have education. Because in college, they had no distraction because no man wanted to date them. So that's their way of getting their own back. It's like, oh, you think you're beautiful? But you know what the capital of Zimbabwe is. And that's the way how they can get back at a lot of pretty girls. Because a lot of pretty girls didn't have education.
Okay,
That's the only reason it was brought in, to make ugly women feel better.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I know the capital of Zimbabwe.
Harare. I just
He
said
just said Harare.
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 Yes.
Okay.
So that means you would have failed. You would never made a Miss Beauty
You know what's the
That's the
capital?
reason why
pageant.
You know what's the
That's
capital?
why-
You know what's the capital of Singapore? No?
capital
That's
of
a,
Singapore.
that's a good question. No, why hasn't Singapore got a capital?
Singapore is the capital.
No, Singapore should have a capital.
Where do you think, if you were to suggest right now, where do you think the capital of Singapore is?
Bedok North.
Orchard.
Bedok North.
Simei, I think Simei is quite good.
No, like, it has to be Orchard.
But anyway, right?
Severe. Near the airport.
Anyway, for the feminine contest, like Miss Universe or Miss World, right, is to judge which woman is more feminist, more
Feminine. Feminine.
and like how the Mr. World contest is to check who the man is
More muscular, more muscular.
Mr. Universe.
Right.
Is there a Mr. World?
Yeah, Mr. Universe, Mr. World, that kind of thing. Like.
I never heard of Mr. World before.
he came out with it
Yeah,
himself.
how come not Mr. World? Ah?
So,
Okay.
so the criteria, right, to judge Mr. World should come from women. Because ultimately, it's the women who judge the men to be the most masculine. For men, the education of the woman is the least of his priorities.
I think
That's
I
the-
think beauty pageants in itself is a problem. Unnecessary lah. We don't need this kind of contest to judge whether a woman is worthy or not. I think that's all
You just check
subjective.
by the eyes only.
Subjective. Rabak. Ceng. Wait, can I palm?
Thanks so much for watching the Unfiltered podcast. Remember to hit that notification bell, subscribe, and most importantly, like, as that really helps our channel to grow. We'll see you again real soon.